Welcome back, friends, to Divine Feminine Radio, your weekly dose of divine conversations. I'm your host, Rani Kala, here today with Tamara Rose. She has been deconstructing the patriarchy and activating the divine feminine for over 15 years. She's the founder of the Beyond Human Method, as well as my sister. Tamara, we have talked a lot on this podcast about burnout, why women are so burnt out, and how we get stuck in burnout, but we haven't yet talked about something important, which is the burnout cycle. In the burnout cycle, it can be 1 week, 2 weeks, 30 days, a whole year, but it is something that we tend to get stuck in as women in particular, and I would love to unpack that conversation today and how to get out of the cycle. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Well, I think one important thing to note, like this is the first thing that we do with our clients for anybody that works with us, because you really can't create change if you're in a burnout cycle. And for the people who are looking for big change and big jump and big leap and profound shifts in their life, like you can't really do that when you're in this cycle and when your nervous system is strung out. So like that's one of the first things that we focus on with people. But I believe it was only 4 or 5 years ago that we started really digging into this work with our clients. Was that it?
Yeah. It was an interesting evolution. Because I had clients asking me, this was I remember the first time, Cece was like 1 or 2, she's 9 now, so like 8 years ago. And clients were like, well, what are you focused on? Like when you're parenting, what do you focus on? And I was like, fuck, what do I focus on? That's a great question. I don't know, and I sat still and I looked and I was like, I'm focused on her nervous system. I'm focused on making sure that she has enough rest. I'm focused on, like, I really had this perspective when she was little that temper tantrums and meltdowns, while they happen, I think they are in a majority avoidable if we're paying attention and we're tuned into like the kiddo. And so it was like, well, I want to tune in. I want to sense into like, what does her nervous system need? I don't want her nervous system like, crashing out all the time. I want her nervous system to feel safe and secure, well cared for, and also well rested. And so it was my, when clients started asking me for that, and they started like, we had so many parents just wanting to be better parents and do better parenting. And so as we were unpacking that, that's where like this nervous system conversation came from. And then I started doing a deep dive into like, how do I live that my nervous system is regulated? Okay. And then we were like, okay, let's train other people on that. So like, I'm always a walking embodiment of the things that we teach. And so, yeah, now, and we had like tons of clients starting to be like, holy shit, like this is amazing. Like a single mom who has 3 kids who was like definitely in her burnout cycle, and like burned out and like re-regulated her and 3 kids as a single mom. And you're like, it is possible, period. It is possible, right? Takes intentionality, it takes change, it takes surrender to something new, but it is possible. And then what we noticed was this became a secret sauce. Like everybody, I just saw a Brene Brown interview and she was talking about like I'm paraphrasing, but like the fight or flight responses, right? And it's like, yeah, we bump up against fight or flight responses when people are making changes, when they want to like change their life, when they want to embark on a new journey. It's like those are natural triggers. When the nervous system is tended to, we actually bypass those triggers, which is phenomenal. And so you're like, oh, this became like, what do they call it? Like a hack, a biohack. That's what those podcast brothers are calling it. I got a biohack. It's called nervous system recalibration. Anyways, so that was really where it like came into play. And that was about 5 years ago. So we've been playing with it for 5 years and, just kind of an evolution of incorporating it into the methodology.
Absolutely. And I know we started incorporating it about 5 years ago, but this inquiry sounds like for you it started when Cece was 1 or 2, so maybe like 7, 8 years ago. And from what I remember, you started with Cece and then you started looking at your own routines and the way that you tend to your nervous system and applying it that way. And so like, what were some of the things that you were noticing inside of like your own personal burnout cycle at the time?
I'm a type A. I was born a type A. I like to produce results. And I think unpacking it for me, I became aware, and I think a lot of women have this, and I think a lot of people have this, where I'll rest when I'm done. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let me just get through, and then I'll rest when I'm done. And the when I'm done, like fill in the blank. When I'm done with my to-do list, once I finish this house project, when blah blah blah. This is why like people with a retirement mindset are like, oh, I'll rest. That's what retirement's for. It's like shit,
Mm-hmm.
that's a long burnout cycle right there, guy. Okay. You know what I mean? So whatever
And
that is. Mm-hmm. Go
And I
ahead.
was going to say, we have people that we work with who are in retirement and they get to retirement finally and they're like, fuck, I'm so burnt out. I don't even have the time or the energy to do the things I want to do. I just need to like sit and rest for a while. And so like that's part of the cycle. When you've been going and going and doing for so long, you finally get to rest to retirement. And it's like, fuck, I don't even have the energy anymore. I need to
Yeah.
recover.
Yeah. So like if you're listening to this and you're having like and you're relating to some of the things we're saying, this is my invitation. It's like a new perspective. Okay. The new perspective might be instead of I'll rest when I'm done with this to-do list. Like I was very, very much wired by that. Okay. Instead of that, what if it was like I'm gonna have moments of vacation, respite or retreat throughout my day
Mm-hmm.
or throughout the week or throughout the month, right? What if you lived like that rather than when I'm done with this thing, then I'll get my massage, then I'll get to rest, then I'll have a vacation, right? Like that's actually a re-regulation of the nervous system. That's a re-regulation of our patterning, right?
Mm-hmm.
That can be a mind-blowing opportunity, by the way. If you're so patterned like I was to like, go, 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 do, I'll rest one day. But the thing is like the reason we burn out is because you always have something new at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, okay, well, I finished like I finished my kitchen. Okay, let's sell the house.
Yeah.
Now let's sell everything in the house. Now let's do the next, and so it's like, if you're like that, you never get to the end. And so you're just
Mm-hmm.
like perpetually strung out all the fucking time. And if you have kids, like just one, let's just add another 1 or 2 layers on it. Okay. It's like, it's insanity.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's something interesting inside of burnout. There's always a sense of urgency, right?
Mhm.
Like you're always
Mhm.
stuck in this, there's something to do. I have to get it done now. If I don't get it
Yeah.
done now, then something's going to crash and burn. The other
Mhm.
shoe's going to
Mhm.
drop. Like whatever it is,
Mhm.
there's like an urgency at the forefront. And so because there's this urgency, there's no getting to your needs or filling your own cup. And so there's this cycle of running on empty until you can't do it anymore, essentially. Like we had one client
Mhm.
that, she had 3 kids and would juggle everything, her business, her kids, her whatever, for I think it was 10 months. And then over the summer, her kids would like go to her mom's house in another state and she would just sit and do nothing for 2 months because she was like, that was like her recovery period, right?
Yes.
And so we hit this point of like the recovery period, like how long we go almost equals like a how long we need to recover. Like same with
Mhm.
the gal that was going and then hit retirement was like, fuck, I just have to like recover for X amount of time because I've been going for so long. Like that's part of when we're talking about a cycle, we're
Mhm.
talking about like how long do you go and then how long do you have to rest and recover and do nothing and like tend to yourself. And so what would it look like if there was no cycle of having to rest and recover and do nothing, but you could be in this flow. You could be in this like vacation little bit every day. You could be in this like do a massage or like take care of your needs or like you're operating from this full cup all the
Mhm.
time and you don't have to get to empty in order to fill yourself back up again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also invite people like, what are we teaching our children? Right. Like having CC here, online schooling or homeschooling, like I get to be in charge of like regulating her nervous system in a way
Mm-hmm.
that most kids don't get to experience. And I am
Mm-hmm.
like an advocate for it. Right. So it's like, what we were taught was like your attendance at school is the most important thing. I mean, yeah, we got to be there on time, and like you don't miss days, and you have to have a fever, you have to be vomiting or shitting at your ass in order to like not go to school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you're like, our children are trained for performance, and we were trained for performance, and we were trained to sidestep our intuition, our divine feminine flow. Like it was trained at a very young age. And so for me, I think it was last week I had her, and Monday she was recovering from the weekend or whatever, and she woke up at like 8:30. If we were in traditional school, that we could have never done that. But she woke up at 8:30. We had a slower day. We got into studies around like 9:30, 10. She still got all of her studies done magically, and like it all worked out. And then the next day, but here's the interesting thing. The next day, she woke up at 6:45, walked in my room and was like, let's get this party started. I'm ready. She's like, I'm going to be ahead of the game today, and she was like ready to rock it. I was like, it's always like that. Okay, but coffee first, kid, and she's like, yeah, I'll make your coffee. Let's go downstairs, And so she finds her rhythm. And I think it's like one of these things we think like, if I don't set my alarm, I'm not going to be up in time. And it's like, I won't get my work done. And I'm like, you'll find your rhythm. Like when you're really divinely guided, you find your rhythm, you find your flow, you find what you're passionate about, your heart's desire. Like it all starts to click into place. But I feel like everything else we try to control is like the thing that's getting us burnt out, like the performance measures, right? Which is a fascinating realization too.
100%. I feel like there's so many things I want to address in what you just said. Like from kids that go to school and are not really taught to regulate our nervous system. Like think about middle school. You wake up early. You sometimes have breakfast at sometimes you have lunch at like 9 or 10 a.m. based on like the periods that you have when you're not even really hungry. You have to sit all day in a seat. You don't really get to like be active. You don't really get to like, if you like need a nap in the middle of the day, if you need to rest in the middle of the day, you don't get that. Like you're kind of at the effect of whatever the school schedule is, and you have to eat at this particular time. You can't eat when you're hungry. Like all of that goes into like, we weren't trained to listen to our bodies or tend to our nervous system. We were trained to like follow someone else's schedule. And then the same thing inside of like 9 to 5. So we were taught attendance is the most important thing for school. And then we also translate that to our 9 to 5. So, I mean, I remember working in an office, and if I was sick, I would still go in because I had to make the money and I had to like go into the office unless I had like a fever and I literally couldn't get out of bed, unless I literally had an excuse.
But here's the thing. We're talking specifically about American education and American production like mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
And if we look, this isn't every country, right? So like Finland and Norway, who have some of the highest education rates and the highest happiness rates, I think their kids go to school for like 3 hours a day. Whereas like even CC online schooling is around 7 hours a day, and you go, and if you look, they're smarter and they're happier, right? But I think it was Rockefeller who, everybody knows the Rockefellers, whatever. But when we look back to I think it was like the 1950s ish, what they looked at was the education system was a way to build the workforce in America. So how do you train children in school to become good worker bees? Okay.
Yes.
And so everything that the school system is about, yes, it's about education. Yes, it's about critical thinking. Yes, it's about those things. But sometimes it's not about critical thinking. It's like everything is trained for people to be good worker bees. So we need you to not think about your well-being. We need you to not think about, if you don't feel good. We need you to overcome your intuitive hits and your bodily notions. We need you to make sure that you wake up at a particular time and you're done at a particular time. That helps your parents because they're worker bees and they need to be at work during those periods. So you need to train yourself. And so all those things are automatic. So it's a fascinating thing when you even look at okay, we have elementary school is leaving, they start at 8:30. Middle school is usually later. High school is usually earliest, and that's because we want them to be good. So it's all of that is disrupting the nervous system is also producing really good 9 to 5 workers, whereas I think statistically in the education system, there's something if you were to give children a gifted test in all the children, not just some of them, all the children, a critical thinking gifted test, I think there's something 60 to 75% of the children are tested at a high level of gifted, intelligent, and critical thinking. When you keep testing them from elementary school to middle school to high school, it drops. By the time you get to high school, they're at 10, 15% or 5% or something ridiculous. And it's dropped significantly because basically we've beaten that critical thinking out of them. We've beat the creative thinking out of them, not beat it. We've dysregulated them.
Undone it.
Yeah, undone it. Sorry. But hopefully nobody's beating anybody at school right now.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because we set ourselves up to be good worker bees in we'll say American education system.
Yeah.
And school is set up in the same way, 8 hours a day and weekends off, right? So we start with this burnout cycle young to do Monday through Friday. We're working. Saturday, Sunday is our quote unquote recovery period. And then we do the same thing over again Monday through Friday. And so that's kind of the maybe standard cycle that we set ourselves up for, to we set Saturday and Sunday as our rest and recovery time, but often we're so tired by the end of the week. If you're doing a 9 to 5, or if you're if you're resonating with everything we're saying, you're probably using Saturday and Sunday to veg out and do nothing and don't even feel like you can go to the grocery store or clean the house. And that's not actually resetting anything. It's just veg out and then go back to the grind again. Yeah. And so go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to go on a different topic. Go ahead.
No, I think that's great. But what we're looking at then is a normal burnout cycle is, that's a 5 to 7 days, right? So you're going to go, do. You're going to burn out and you're going to recover for those 2 days. So you have a 5 to 7 day cycle. But what we've done is we also have a new thing. It's not new. I mean, it wasn't around when I was a kid. We weren't yelling it. FOMO wasn't, I don't know, maybe it was a thing, maybe it wasn't. Or YOLO. Okay, so we got fear of missing out and we've got you only live once, so then the weekend comes around and you're and how many people do I see, me on my dating apps? I work hard and I play even harder, and you're shit, when do you fucking sleep, guy? Men are different than women. I do want to say that men's cycles can handle different than women, but we have such a pressure then to go out, have fun, party, connect, brunches, whatever.
Because we feel like there's not enough time to do that during the week, because we feel like we have to we're prioritizing work, and then we have to use our free time to do the fun things rather than resting maybe.
Yeah, but you're just and then it depends on where you live. One of the reasons I was really excited to move to Colorado with seasons was because I had lived in San Diego, and gosh darn it, if you can find a party every night of the week in San Diego. There's always 3 events going on at any given night that you could choose. And if you're out to really get her done, you're choosing all 3, and you're fuck, you just never recover. You never have that respite. Right. And there's a lot of things that come into burnout. So this isn't just the activities we do. This is the energy we take on, the foods we eat, how we how our environment speaks to us. It's how we calm the body. It's how we care for the body and how we nurture. Like there are a lot of things that go into like actually regulating the nervous system. It isn't just the activities. The activities are a big, like, that's a big pull. Do you know what I mean? And so, you're not getting enough sleep, and then you're going to work, and then you've got all these activities in the evening, and then the weekend comes around, and in San Diego, it's sunny all the time. So you're just going to like do the activities. It's like, all of a sudden it's like in Denver, and you're like, I mean, it's a snow day. The whole fucking city shut down. You can't drive anywhere, and it pisses some people off. But at the same time, I'm like, that's a rest day.
Yeah.
One,
That's true. Well, let's talk a bit about that. Like, it's not just about the activities, it's about all these other things and our environment and our stimuli, if you will. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that when we go, do, and then we have this, respite, it doesn't just take 3 hours of sitting down, 3 hours of scrolling on our phone to get back to quote unquote normalized levels. Like there's particular ways of tending to our system that actually regenerate us faster or that fill our cup more so than others. And I would love to hear like some of those things that go into play.
Yeah, I think one of the things that also strings us out, that is such a weird thing. One of the things that burns us out, that has us be strung out, is all the information, all the data that we're consuming all the time. So I think that's one place where we step over why we're burnt out. And so if you think about it, it's the constant on our phone, the constant input of social media, the emails, the to-do list, a text message, a ping. And you also have like, and it's not just text message from other people. It'll be text message from, other companies wanting you to buy things, wanting you to do things, right? Like how many pings and awarenesses do we get all the time? So you just go like that in and of itself is an inundation of information. Not to mention if you have work and you're working on off hours and you have bosses talking to you or projects. So you have all these things. So one is the information that's going on. Then our brain is trying to process, right? So it's trying to process and figure out and, to problem solve things. So you've got that going on. So you've got inundation and then you're trying to fix and you're like, okay, now I'm going to go scroll on social media. I'm adding one more thing to think about, to process, to like whatever, right? And even if you're like, well, I'm just watching cat videos. The fuck you are. Okay. There's other stuff you're watching. You're not just watching cat videos. Okay. But what else are they putting in there? They're putting in ads and they're putting in, sometimes it's lives and sometimes it's ads. And you have to like kind of sort like, do I want to shop? Do I not want to shop? Am I ready to, do I need this thing? Oh, am I going to engage with this? Am I not? Those are all things going on in the background. And so we're like a CPU processing all this information all the time. And we don't actually relate to that. We're processing all this all the time.
Yeah, it's like the micro decisions that we make all day long, I think that go into it. Like not just on our phones, but also like what am I going to wear and what am I going to eat and what's my day going to look like and what email am I going to look at right now or what am I going to respond to? Like I think it's also those like micro decisions that go into it that the mental load that that we tend to carry and everything that goes into that too.
1000% the mental load. 1000%.
Yeah. And oh gosh, we're reading this book E Squared, and there's a really great quote from it about all of the, I can't remember the specifics on it, but all of the data that we receive at any given point in time, and we're only processing a fraction of it because our brain is assuming
400,000 bits of data in any given moment, and we can only process 2,000 bits of data. 400,000 bits of data, we can only process 2,000 in a moment.
Thank you. I knew you would have it. So we're only processing 2,000 bits of data and our brain is assuming the rest, or we're not seeing the rest. So, there are times when I'm living with Tamara for like the next few weeks, and there are times when I'll leave like a blanket on the couch or like something laying out on in the kitchen, and she's like, "You didn't see that? You didn't see that thing?" I'm like, "No, I didn't. It didn't even cross my mind." And like,
I'm
because you're
processing more data. Pick up the shit.
yeah, like my brain's not processing it
Yeah.
because like it's assuming the environment or it's making assumptions about it and I'm
Yeah.
not seeing everything in front of me. And that's
Mhm.
what happens to the majority of humans. Like
Mhm.
Tamara's an anomaly, but that doesn't happen to most people. But like
Process
I
lots
would
of data. So
but
dumb.
like that's what's happening is like we
Yeah.
see, our house is cluttered, but we're not
Mhm.
relating to it as cluttered because we choose to block that out or not process that data because it's been like that for however long, or we're not seeing like the what if our phone has 900 emails on it, we're not choosing to look at those because they've been there for so long, but it's still taking up space in our phone and in our brain. Like all these different
Yeah.
things that are in our environment that we're choosing not to interact with or
Mhm.
see, even though they're there. And that
Mhm.
still contributes to our environment and the way that we process or interact with things. And that
Yeah.
also contributes to like the burnout that we feel.
Yeah. It's an overwhelm of, it's an overwhelm of the data is what I would say, right? So when people come into my space and my house, it demands a level of presence and awareness that like people don't have in other spaces because
Yeah.
there isn't clutter. There isn't a TV in the background. There isn't like and if you're hanging out with me and I'm like locked in and we're present, there's no phones. Like you don't get to like scroll on your phone and hang out with me, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
presence activates the next level of efficiency and productivity in reality, right? So like somebody's like, "Oh yeah, but I'm still productive." Imagine if you weren't imagine if your being, your consciousness wasn't like trying to get through all the it's like white noise. It's got to get through the
Mm,
clutter that's white noise. It's got to get through other bits of data that's white noise. And so it just becomes very clean. And so, in the space, we've had it where, you and other people be like, I got everything done today, but like, I feel like I didn't do anything, but like,
yeah.
and it's a weird relation to time. And so that's like what's possible on the other side of the burnout, like when you really
Yeah.
take in and you're like, I've regulated my nervous system, my environment supports me, I'm like super in the flow, you can get everything done and you can feel like, but was it a weekend or was it a weekday? Like I don't, it's wild. Today's Tuesday, but it feels like a Saturday. It's like
Yeah.
we've had such a weird couple of days here at the house. I don't know. And that's because nervous systems are regulated. We're super present. And then that brings on the next level of efficiency and there is no burnout. And so
Mm-hmm.
just kind of bypass that whole thing.
100%. So we're looking at all of the different things that go into us feeling burnt out or
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the different stimuli, the
Yeah.
environment, the
Yeah.
conversations, the activity. Like, would you
Mm-hmm.
say there's anything else that you would consider goes into that
Yeah.
experience of burnout?
I wrote it down at the beginning of the podcast so I could remember to
Amazing.
talk about it. I was like, there's
Amazing.
one thing I've never said before.
Ooh.
Um, it has to do, and here's what you want to get. So we're looking at like how much, here's how we would describe it. If we're looking at like, okay, I'm burned out because I'm exputting so much, exputting, that's not a word. I'm
Outputting?
exporting, outputting. That was it. That was the word. I'm outputting so much energy
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't like recouped that energy, right? So when there's a lot of output of energy. So what we're talking about is like if we're processing a bunch of data around and we don't need to, like that's an output of energy, even though we don't know it. It's an unconscious output of energy, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you are not in your natural flow and you have to re-regulate yourself to somebody else's flow, that is like a re-regulation of energy. It's just going to be an output of energy, right? If you have a mental load going on in the background, that's like your mental load is going to be an output of energy, even though you don't have like, so there's an output of energy to consider that's causing, that is part of this burnout, quote unquote, cycle, right? So the longer that we're constantly outputting without a re-regulation, that's going to be a longer burnout cycle. If you're constantly doing that, but let's say you meditate in the morning or you meditate at night or you get a good night's rest and we've totally recouped, now we have a shorter burnout cycle, or maybe we've bypassed the burnout cycle, and that's really the goal, right? But one of the factors that's also in there, and it's like the things that we resist. Okay. We don't really think about that, right? But like, I'm resisting talking to this person. I'm resisting talking to my boss. I'm resisting quitting my job. I'm resisting breaking up with my boyfriend. I'm resisting divorcing my husband. I'm resisting having that serious conversation with my friend. I'm resisting this thing that I need to go do with my mom or my family. Like those resistance, like the resistance inside of you, your worry, your fear, your doubt, your resistance, your I don't want us, fucking energy drains, man. And like, we just don't even think about it. And I think a lot of people think it's normal. Like it's normal to like just walk around with this resistance, like a resistance is, you know, and you could be like resistance to the current government structure, resistance to how things are happening, or resistance. It's like all of that is taxing on your nervous system. It's taking a toll. It's adding to the burnout because it's taking energy, even if it's in the background. And so, you know, I think that's like, again, it just came to me like right when we were starting. And so it's like the resistance can add to the pile of caca that we're processing, right?
Totally. I appreciate you saying that. And for listeners, like I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that don't love the current administration or love the current situation of the United States that we're experiencing. So if there are people out there feeling
1000%, there's so many of them.
Well, if there are people out there like feeling resistance to it, like what would you say is maybe an alternative?
1000%. Look, and you can also, here's the other thing. I want to say it in a couple different ways so it kind of pings. Because if you're like, well, I don't resist. If you say, I don't like this, but I'll do it anyways, but those are all resistance like sentences or keywords. So you just got to say like, okay, am I kind of saying that? Okay, yeah. Then I'm in some sort of like, I don't like it. I'm kind of doing it. It's like, or I have to, or you see what I mean? Like I love, like,
that's
people are saying.
That's an important one. The have tos. Like I have to parent my kid. I have to go to work. I have to make money. Like that's a good one to point out.
And when people deal with mindset, they're like, oh, well, I changed my mindset. But in the background, they still don't want to. They're like, I really don't want to parent. I get to parent my kid. You're like, yeah, but you're still resistant. It's in the background. You just put a Band-Aid on it. It looks pretty, but like that shit's still there, you know?
But the feeling is still there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like the feeling of resistance, the feeling of like, oh, the feeling of like contraction.
Yeah. So there's two things I would recommend inside of that. And the first thing is like surrender to your choice. And your choices, they're all over the place, right? So look, if you're married and you want to be divorced, but you ain't getting a divorce and you haven't had that conversation and you're not like going down that path, then fucking just surrender to you're married and shut up. Or go get a divorce. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and if you're like, well, I'm stuck and then make a plan. If you're like, I don't have any money and I need to leave this guy, do a GoFundMe or fucking do a TikTok video and say, you know, all the money is going to me leaving this guy. Those videos make buku bucks. All the women are in charge. We're all like, yep. Ask a friend. Come up with a plan. But like, what we do is we're in a thing and we're like, but I don't want to be in the thing. And that's the resistance. So either you just stop and you're just like, I'm in the thing. Maybe I'm in the thing for 24 hours. But then you've surrendered at least 24 hours. It's like Alcoholics Anonymous. So you're going to take it one day at a time, right? So you're just like, 24 hours, I'm just going to be here. Okay? So it's like if I online school my kid and I'm like, I hate online school, I hate homeschooling. The fuck would I do that for? If I don't like
Mm-hmm.
it, then I'm just going to go change my mind. I didn't like her in public school. So guess what I did? I
Put
researched
her
and
in
I put her in
online school.
online school. It's like not like our life choices are not rocket science, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, case in point, I bought a house with my dad. Crazy son of a bitch went insane. Ronnie was there and was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, I don't know. We had owned that house not even a full year. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, if you don't stop with this, we are selling the house,
Mm-hmm.
period. And within, I think it was 2 months, that house was sold. I I had to pay more capital gains. I made a profit, but I sold the house and was like, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I'm not gonna like be in that and be bitchy about it and whatever. I'm just gonna be like, okay, I don't want to be in this. We sell in a house. There's always a solution, is my point,
Yeah.
right? There's always a choice. So if you're in a thing, either you surrender or change course. But this resistance to like, I don't like it, like that's where you're going to burn out. That's where you're going to lose your energy. That's where you're going to get exhausted. That's where
Yeah.
you're just going to go down the drain.
And I think especially as women, there's this tendency of trying to be nice or trying to like cater to somebody else or like I just want to help or I just want to be nice, and then we feel like our needs aren't getting met or we're not getting what we want because we're trying to be nice to somebody else or cater to somebody else, and that also has a level of like resistance or not like I the word
Exhaustion.
exhaustion. Like the word isn't necessarily resistance, but there's something in there I can't put words to that's like that's part of the burnout as well and part of like what you're pointing to.
Well, when you feel stuck, like you have no choice, right?
Like
I feel stuck.
yeah,
I have
like
no
the
choice.
stuckness. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, some of you listeners go, hey, I'm going to say this word, victim energy, right? Like at the effect, I can't change it. I don't have choice. I feel stuck. All of that. You know, I have a guru. My guru trained me and tons of people. Like we got to, if you're in victim energy, if you feel at the effect of it, if you feel like you're stuck and you don't have any choice, that literally is bringing down the whole planet. Our power is being activated. We are waking up. We do have a say. It's happening all over. Like you just have to look around. Okay. No King's protest. 7 million Americans, I think, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. Are you kidding me? Like we have a choice. We're speaking up. Okay. Like SNAP benefits get reduced or they're gone. It's the date where they're gone. Okay.
Yeah.
And communities are pulling together for feeding other people because we have a choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, to think that you don't have a choice or think that we're stuck then perpetuates that we are stuck. You have to be willing to say, I'm not stuck. Let's look at other options. And that's the wake up period we're in. So we're in the wake up
Yeah.
period. What it takes to change the collective and change the shit show we're in is you got to wake up and be like, I have a choice. Whether it's like, I have a choice to get out of this marriage. I have a choice to break up with this person. I have a choice to change jobs. I have a choice to move out of the country. I have a choice to educate my kid in a different way. I have a choice. Like wild last night, I was on social media scrolling through and people are like speaking out about how they are getting around in paying for insurance, like all the different new ways that they're getting
Mm-hmm.
around insurance because insurance is a fucked system and it's coming to light because everybody's insurance is going up like triple 300%.
Mm-hmm.
It's just increasing 300%. You paid $200 a month before, now it's 1,000, or like whatever, 300. It was like somebody was paying 300 and now it's 1,000. You're like, that's a more than 300% increase. Just and so we're waking up and we have choices. Now, if it goes up 300%, you're like, fuck, I'm fucked. Then that's like, I'm stuck and I'm in victim energy. I can't do anything. And then a lot of your energy is like, right? So
Yeah.
it's training yourself to be like, what are the other options? What are the other opportunities? And what am I going to do next? And that's what we're waking up to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think It sounds like part of getting out of the burnout cycle is noticing all the stimuli and ways that we're, mental processing, environment stimuli, the things that we're resisting, the choices we don't want to make that we know that there are to make, and then the ways that we feel stuck in our choices, maybe not using our choices. And
Yeah.
so being aware of all of that, and then what would you say if we're really looking at getting out of the burnout cycle, completely resetting our nervous system, and operating and functioning in a new way? Like, what would you say that looks like?
Well, I want to go back and answer. I said there were two things and I only talked about one, right?
Yes.
So
Oh, please do.
with the shit show right now, with the government, with what we're dealing with, like how do we gain perspective, or how do we deal with that? How do we manage that? How, like that was part of the question, right? Like, what do we do? So the first one is like, don't act like a victim, right? Like that's one, or like look for other opportunities, look for like making a change. And that's, again, something that's personal as well as something that's governmental. Like it can be both. Okay. And you're going to find more freedom. You're going to find more power, and like, you won't be in that stuck resistance feeling. Right. The second part is to zoom out. And so this, like the ability to zoom out, I don't know if I've always had it. Seems like I've always had it. I wouldn't go so far as to say like I've always had it. Do you know what I mean? But either I've been trained like that, or it's part of my training ground, or, since I started this journey 15 years ago, like somehow I have this amazing ability to zoom out. So I can zoom out on people's life. I can zoom out on political situations, global situations. I can see the bigger picture. That's what I'm talking about. And so when we zoom out, it's kind of like if Ronnie and I were in a fight. Let's say, for instance, we don't fight, but like, have we ever fought? No,
Not really.
you used to get saucy with me. Like, I think of like a teenage kid. You were you
Yeah,
did have your teens.
when I was a teenager, I acted like a teenager.
Wild that happened. But Ronnie was born when I was 18 years old. So like the teens hit in my 20s, it was like very, like I was very aware of things or something like that, or 30s. I don't fucking know.
30s.
Anywho, 30s, 20. I'm 28 now. So it was just recently. Okay. Anywho, I digress. I've had the ability to zoom out. And so like, let's say hypothetically, Ronnie and I are in a fight, right? It gets very dramatic if we're very zoomed in. So if we're very close to the situation, what you want to do is you want to say, I would be talking to somebody, I'd be like, Ronnie's such a dick. Can you believe they blah, 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 and like doesn't pick up. It becomes very dramatic. It holds a lot of energy. You're like, wow. And you input a lot of energy into the drama of it. Like, I had somebody, even on social media, I had somebody like commenting on the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni case thing. And now is Taylor Swift going to go testify? And I'm like, what? And this lady is like, I've gone down some rabbit hole. I've spent this many hours inside of court documents. And I'm like, why do you care? That is a lot of energy. So if we're talking about burnout, don't do that. Don't add that into your repertoire. Like, don't be like, I have no time and I'm exhausted. And then be like, now I'm going to go into this rabbit hole. It's like, that one is going to really be a suck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my point is like, if we're in that, that's a lot of energy. If we zoom out, what we start to see is a bigger picture. Okay. And so let's say we were fighting over dishes in the kitchen. I'm just making shit up, y'all. We don't fight over dishes in the kitchen. Okay. But let's say that's what it was. Yeah. And we just pause for a second, right? And you zoom out and you go, okay, why would we attract this situation? Why would you attract it? And why would I attract it? And what you may notice is like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to learn how to speak up and ask Ronnie to do the dishes. That's why it's showing up. Okay. Am I willing to practice saying what I need to Ronnie? I have no problem saying what I need to Ronnie, you guys. It's not like what's actually happening, but I'm giving you a fucking perspective. Okay. So you go like, can I take this opportunity instead of just fighting and my perspective, your perspective, and we're going back and forth? Can I take the opportunity to be like, oh, this is me learning how to ask for what I want and have somebody around me who loves me, who might say yes, and I could receive love in a new way, and we could create a new partnership and agreement. That's the bigger picture. Okay. If we do that on the world stage right now, we have massive amounts of change happening right now. Okay. We have a wave of MAGA people waking up. Why? Because SNAP benefits haven't been put in. The government is on day, is it 40? Are we on day 40, 35 to 40 of shutdown?
Gosh, it's been that long.
Yeah. We have the Epstein files that haven't been released. We have us, I think it's the Senate or the House. Which one has been shut down? Hasn't been in session for 45 days because Mike Johnson is like, well, if we're in session, then I have to like let the Arizona rep in. I got to do, you know what I mean? We're like, okay, we have insurance rates that just tripled. So we are having a massive change inside of the United States. And it's happening. Like, if you think it all started in January, we're only in November, that's 10 months. And you're like, within 10 months, all of these things have like changed, right? Our No Kings protest was one of the highest it's been. So what am I noticing with all this? And actually the amount of people, this was on a Rachel Maddow Rachel Maddow was on CNBC and she does like nightly news, but she was saying the people who are supporting MAGA right now, the numbers are decreasing. So we're at 30% of Americans are still supporting the MAGA movement, and we have 43% of Americans that are actually supporting No Kings, like No Kings in a way. And so what you have is you have these dramatic takes. We have more people in support of not Trump than we have supporting Trump. That's a big change from where we were. So you just go like, that's what's actually happening. So if you're like if you're stuck in the upset, right? And you're like, and we're like, SNAP has gone away. Okay, but like, let's work locally because that's what's happening. We have local people supporting everywhere in the United States. Literally everybody is like interested in supporting their neighbor. And you're like, oh, we didn't know that was there, but now we do, you know? And so you're like, okay. And we have insurance just tripled, but I'm watching people on social media coming out and being like, there's other ways to do this, to get your healthcare done and complete. Like a mom of, I think she had 5 kids. She had 3 kids and there was 5 people in the family of like covering insurance. She mapped out how she does it without going to insurance. Okay. And you're like, whoa, what? Like that's an option. Do you know what I mean? And so people are like, okay, this is the new, like we're watching new ways start to emerge. So my point is, if we're in the single focus of the government and this is happening and we still haven't seen the Epstein files and this is happening, like, that's fine. But that you're going to be in a lower vibrational field. That's a resistance field. That's a victim energy field. That's not, let's zoom out and look at, well, what's actually happening? Yeah. I would say 5 years ago, we had no idea the oligarchy was in charge the way they are. We had no idea the level at which corruption has been in every form and facet of our government. We had no idea like how much, or maybe we kind of did know, it just wasn't in our face, right? We had no idea the level at which corporations have been running the show. Okay. Now we have massive amounts of people who are awakened, and we couldn't have gotten there without this. So this is the wave we're riding. That perspective change when you zoom out of almost anything. So I'm saying this, like if you're fighting with your sister in the kitchen about dishes, or you're looking at like a governmental system collapsing, you zoom out and you're going to gain amazing perspective to be able to be like, oh, this is an opportunity. And that simple shift, and you can't do it if you're all fucked up about it, right? You literally have to zoom out and you have to find all the evidence for the opportunity. If I tell you it's an opportunity, you're gonna be like, fuck you. Take long walk, short beer, right? Running, because that's happened to you, right? If you get in your head about something and I'm like, everything's fucking working out. What are you talking about? You're like, it doesn't feel like that, you know? And you're all like, and I'm like, okay, we need to get you zoomed out. Like, I don't know how to get you zoomed out. You got to get yourself zoomed out. That's part of your training. Like, zoom it out. And then you're like, and then in the morning, I'm like, how you doing? I was like, is everything working out? You're like, everything's working out. I'm like, oh, thank God. Way better place to be, right? So it's the zoom out and that perspective that gives us so much less resistance and so much more allowance And it gives us the perspective to act and like take, like really ride the change and be part of the change.
Yeah.
I know that was a lot. There you have it. Y'all can come back and listen to that part of the podcast again. You're welcome.
Well, I think lots of people probably needed to hear that, like especially the resistance versus seeing it as opportunity. Like that one perspective shift could change everything, whether it's looking at the United States and what's happening on the world level, or whether it's like inside of personal relationships. Like being able to, I feel like part of it is step out of our personal bubble and personal perspective to
Yeah.
see something bigger for like the other people and for the collective and like the energies at play. Like I think part of what you're pointing to is seeing all of the energies at play as well, and like what are the energies at play? How are they playing? And like what are we getting to? What is the opportunity here?
Yeah. What is the change? Like, we have clients going through divorces. That's phenomenal. That's a great thing. That is no longer in alignment. There are going to be many more on the world stage because women are waking up to their power. And
Yeah.
like we're waking up and we have to take the lead, and we can't do it with man child. So if you have a man child and you have a man baby, you're going to find a lot more peace on the other side. If you don't have them, we do that so also men can wake up to their power and their contribution, which they haven't been doing. You know what I mean? It's like a win-win for people to wake up, but it takes change is the way we wake up.
Yeah.
Big blustery uncomfortableness is how we wake up.
Yeah. And it starts with the nervous system, because if we try to make all this big change or try to see the opportunity or see like what's really at play and zoom out, but we're in some fluster, like you said, if we're in some fluster, if we're in
I kind of like the word flusterfuck. Could we be in a
flusterfuck, we could use that.
My new one.
If
you're
in
a flusterfuck,
if you're in some
nothing.
fluster fuck, if you're in some scarcity of time or energy or money, or not taking care of yourself, or you're running on empty, then there's no ability to look at change. There's no ability to see opportunity or other choices that could be available to you. Like everything we're talking about, like getting out of victim energy and seeing all the choices that are available and actually using your choices. Like it's fucking hard to see that if you're in, I have no time or money or energy and I can't do anything because I'm so burned out and running on empty.
Or I have to crash and burn and I'm just going to sit around and go blah, 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 and look at the TV. Like you can't see it, right? And so the regulation really is what I'm really good at. And I think that's when you're really good at the regulation, it's like, oh, I can just reach for this little answer to my problem. Oh, cool. And you're like, oh, here's a new perspective. That's great. But if you're constantly in reaction and fight or flight, which is burnout is fight or flight. Burnout, you're like, if you notice you're in fight or flight, you're constantly fighting, you like have to retreat, you have to go like recoup. You're going to notice you're in fight or flight a lot of the time. And that constant wave of fight or flight doesn't allow you to ever see anything else other than more things to fight against or more things to flight about.
Totally. And especially if we're looking at, other aspects of the methodology, like law of attraction or like the energy you're operating from. If you're operating from, there's never enough time or money and I can never take care of myself, that's the self-fulfilling prophecy you keep ending up in. You're never going to have the time or the energy to take care of yourself. Or if you're in like, I'll get to myself once I finish the thing, once I finish my to-do list, like this, what you were talking about earlier, there's never going to come a time because the only energy you're operating from is you're in this to-do list and it's never actually getting done.
Later doesn't exist. That's what Ryan's saying, right? It's
Thank you.
Like if you're like, oh, I'm not going to take that vacation now, I'm going to take it later. You haven't planned for it. You haven't slotted it. You haven't put it on the calendar and it's going to be later. Later will always be later. If it's not now, it's later. Whatever you're focusing on now is the thing that's going to keep perpetuating it. So like if, case in point, and Ronnie as an example, like if sometimes Ronnie gets stuck in a thing and I'm like, do you need to go have a walk? Do you need to like go have a bath? Like, what do you need to do to like calm this down? And I was like, cause I can see it. Can you see it? Ronnie be like, oh, right. The thing. I'm like, yeah, what do you need? Like leave, go sit by the river, get a coffee, go for, you know what I mean? Like there has to be
Yeah.
some pattern interruption. Right. And so you go for me, it's like I just came back from California and I remember like looking and I'm going to book the Ritz and I'm like, well, am I going to pay money or am I going to pay points? And I've been slowly going through my million Marriott points. People are like, you have 1,000,000? I'm like, yeah, 1,000,000. Right. And you're like, okay, I'm going through them. And I'm like, am I going to do it later? Like, am I going to use the points later? Like, what is my later? And I kept playing with that thought in my head. And I'm like, that's so dumb. Just use the points now. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, what? It doesn't exist. Like, and it's this lovely experience of like taking care of you now. What that does is it has energy come to you now. It has you be cared for now. You start realigning the field because later doesn't exist. So everything that y'all want to put off to later, you're like, okay, I'm going to invest in myself later. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pamper myself later. I'm going to quit my job later. I'm going to have that conversation with my significant other later. You're just not doing it now. I'm like one of the craziest humans because I'm like, if Ronnie's in the house, I'm like, hey, let's have that conversation now. Ronnie will be like, no, what are we doing? I'm like, we're doing it right now, Or if like something's between me and somebody I'm dating, I'm like, we gonna talk about that right now. Yeah. Oh, we could talk about it later. I'm like, no, it's right now. My kid doesn't get away with anything. We're always like, I'm always on it all the time right now, right? It has me be in a clean field. There's never a later. Like if you could just take that away and like start to activate things right now, right? And look, your to-do list, by the way, listeners, I know where you went. You were like, well, my to-do list, what am I supposed to do everything right now? That's part of the burnout. No, that's not what I'm saying. Some of those things don't need to get done right now. That's intuition. That's discernment. That's where you can build the muscle. If you want to build the muscle, you come hang out with us. But like, that's not what I said. That's all I want to say. That's not what I said. I know where you went. I've been doing this a while.
And it's not like you have to do everything and take the vacation tomorrow or do the massage like right now, but like put it on your calendar. Like start taking some action steps. Start putting a plan in place at least. Like it may not be get out those divorce papers right now, but it may be like have a conversation with your husband and like maybe research some lawyers. I mean, maybe I don't know, but
I don't know. I'm just, we got a listener.
Speculating.
Maybe it is. What's that?
We're just speculating.
It's, just a thought. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Yeah. Well, like if it's not that immediate thing right now, like it may be taking the steps towards the thing right now, putting it on your calendar, doing some
1000%.
research,
Here's the deal. If you're like, oh, take the vacation later. Do you even know what the vacation is? You probably don't even know what you just said vacation. You probably don't know what the vacation is. Where are you going? What's the next place? Where does your body want to be? A beach? Which beach? Go research some shit. Like start putting those pieces in place. Start playing with that. Start feeling that. Start pulling that to you. Don't play with me. People out there be talking about a vacation. They don't even know what they're talking about. Go figure out what you're talking about. Anyways, I do want to go back though, because I know we started off with burnout cycles, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just really important, like listeners, for you to figure out like what is your crash and burn cycle? Like how long is it? Why is it that length? Right. And kind of like you can do a personal inquiry. Like you might know right off the top of your head, you're like, I rest every Saturday, Sunday, and I fucking can't move. You're like, okay. Or you're like, once a month or twice a month, I clear out my calendar, emergency-ness, and I cancel things because I literally can't do anything else. That would be the burnout cycle. So you're looking for that point where you're just like, I can't. Now, if you want to change it, right? That's the place where you start to balance every day. If you really want to change it. You have like daily routines that have you balance. You have monthly routines that have you balance. That gets you out of the burnout cycle. I couldn't tell you the last time I burned out.
Yeah. And I would say there are morning and evening daily routines that regenerate you so that you never run on empty again, so that you never have to get to that like tipping point of I need to like do nothing. And it's probably not going to be scrolling on TikTok for 3 hours at night. It's probably not going to be vegging out watching TV while you're eating dinner. Like there are like particular things we put in our Living the Slow Life course where it's like you wake up and you meditate in the morning, or you start by journaling and setting intentions for your day, or at the end of the evening you don't have any technology. What a surprise. And you like have an evening tea and you take time to yourself to just rest. Like those are going to be, you get to discern for yourself the moments and the things that will regenerate you in a snap. Not in like 3 hours, not in 24 to 48 hours, but what are the things that shift the energy in 20 minutes and 30 minutes for you that, accelerate your regenerativeness? Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah. And a top few that I could leave the listeners with. So first is, God, especially if you're a woman, if you have a bathtub, use it every night. If you're a woman, that I want you to like, and just imagine, your body, the nervous system, it's the vagus nerve. It works through all the body, right? But like your nervous system is on the skin all over your body. It's like very accessible energetically. When you submerge into warm water, that's the calm. Okay. And I think so people are like, oh, I can't have a bath. Da, da, da. Honestly, I wouldn't buy a house without a bathtub. If I ain't got one, my next house and put one in. Like it is like a non-negotiable. I have a steam room. It does something different, but I am like all about that bath. It's the submerging of the entire body and the whole nervous system to calm it down. Before you go to bed, you want a good night's sleep? Try that. If you haven't been sleeping well, try that. And cut out alcohol. That would be one I would also cut out. Like you have to see how much you would want to do. But I would say bath before bed. I would definitely cut out alcohol. I would look and focus on getting a good night's rest. So for women, that's 8 to 9 hours a night. And if you're like, oh, I don't think I can do it, stop scrolling at night for sure. And the meditation. Here's the thing. Meditation is taking you, like if you're doing it long enough, you're going to go into theta brainwaves. And when you're in the different brainwave states, you've got alpha, beta, theta. So if you like go into the different brain wave states, they will rejuvenate your brain and your being sometimes more than sleep. So you got to get that, sometimes more than sleep. So there are times where I'm like, I would love a nap, but it's like middle of the day. I was just traveling. I was doing so much traveling. It was like so much interfacing with clients and things that I was like, holy shit, I am exhausted. Right. And I just sat down and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to lay and meditate. And that 30 minutes rejuvenated me more than like an hour and a half nap because of that capacity. So I want our listeners to know like that's what's possible. Is like you can hit these different. So I've had clients who leave the office, go in their car in the middle of the day, and they meditate in their car in the middle of the day. It's not scroll time. Okay. And so if you have like a morning meditation, evening meditation, you go midday, I'm telling you, you're more efficient and you will not burn out because your brain is functioning more efficiently too. So.
Yeah. And I appreciate you bringing the thing about sleep as well. Like women need, 8 to 9 hours, while as men only need maybe 7 to 8. But at the same time, it's the quality of sleep, not just the duration of sleep. So if you're sleeping 8 hours a night, but you're tossing and turning and you wake up and you're not well rested at all, like there's something else to implement to have you have that quality of sleep there too. That's just one thing I wanted to add.
And if you're like, okay, I want to know more, or I'm interested in this, like I created an entire 30-day reset series, right? And so that's like one thing every day you're going to implement. Instead of implementing 30 things, it's just one thing every day. Some of them are super small, some are a little bit, maybe a little bit more challenging for you depending upon where you're at. But like we have that guide because that's the first thing we do with clients. So instead of, you could work with us for 12 months and that's going to be month 1. Or you could be like, I'm just going to do that. And we have that, you know what I mean? So like, we have resources is my point. So
Yeah. So if you're interested in exploring that or seeing if that's a fit for you, I'll put the link to set up a call with me in the description. We can hop on a call. We can explore it together, talk more about what you're looking for.
And our free meditation series.
And our free meditation series, we have that in the description as well.
Always.
You can start with 5 minutes, work your way up to 20 minutes, because that's the sweet spot for actually creating change inside of meditation and accessing that change point. So, well, Tamara, thank you so much for being on with me, sharing your expertise as always. It sounds like the biggest things are really looking at the ways that we take on everything that affects our nervous system and has us be in a burnout cycle. So from our environment to the stimuli that we experience to there's a deer in the front yard, to the stimuli we experience.
We don't have squirrels. It's not squirrel. It's deer around. We have squirrels, but like it's always like deer. Everybody.
We're up in the mountains, so we've got deer with us. So it's the stimuli that we experience, the resistance that we experience, the ways that we feel victim to our choices or not having any choices. Like all of these things lend to the burnout cycle that we perpetuate, and being able to determine and distinguish like how long is our burnout cycle, what does our burnout cycle look like, and then being able to implement things that regenerate us every day so that we don't ever run on empty, or we're not ever like not tending to our needs or addressing our needs, and getting to a space where it feels like vacation energy every day. Like we're regenerating, maybe taking a bath in the middle of the day at 3 p.m. like Tamara, or if you don't have that capacity, at least doing it every night. Yeah. Or like, what are those morning and evening rituals that have you be regenerated in like 20, 30 minutes rather than 48 hours or 30 days or like whatever it is, where you don't have to like be strung out, do nothing, and like in order to feel full again, have your cup full again. So
and you know, as we complete with the listeners, I want to drop a little possibility, right? What would it be like if burnout wasn't the way that everybody lived? Like, what if it is actually possible to never hit burnout again because you love your life, because you're super regulated, because like your environment is calm, because you've got new ways of like doing and being and integrating with life itself. Trust me when I say you will be more fulfilled. You will be happier. You will be more in love with your life. That is what's possible, to just like sideswipe this whole burnout thing. Like burnout doesn't have to exist. It exists because we are overworked in a patriarchal system. Built not for us, built for men by men. So all we have to do is like learn to live in a new way. That's the option. That's the opportunity. So just think about that. I just, you know, if nothing else, just think like, oh my God, it could be possible. Burnout cycle isn't like it's a thing we're dealing with, but we don't have to have it. We can choose something else.
Yes. Thank you for adding that in.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, listeners, thanks so much for being on with us. I'll put those links in the description to the meditation series, and if you'd like to book a discovery call together. And we also have our free online community. You can join us back there and expand these conversations with us. But until next time, we'll see you next week. Keep making magic, y'all.